Scott Pop here, and we're going to talk about the type of technique that I've developed. I call it the expansion technique, and it's how I organize my thoughts in terms of what the human body needs to do to regain health in terms of its locomotor function and its musculoskeletal function. When you think of expansion, I like to go back to the first two major developments as a infant and child. And the first development, we go from a blob that lays down to one that sits and stands up. This is an expansion upward, and so eventually the expansion looks like this. It goes from a collapsed state to an extension state, and we elongate ourselves upward into gravity. This creates an expansion of chest elevation, chin retraction, abdominal control. This is where our body has the most stable position, and it's an expansion upward. Then we learn the second major development, which is locomotor function, which is a counter rotation out into space where our pelvis goes one way, our shoulders go another way, our head goes the opposite way, and so we wind up and expand into counter rotation, and then we impact the earth and we compact downward, and then we expand the opposite direction. So the gait motion is the second big development. The first big development is the sit to stand, or the righting reflex. Those two are crucial when you think of good health in terms of our locomotor system. The third component is actually good control on impaction. So when you're walking, so when you impact the earth, we can take that force and it helps counter rotate our body and expand outward again, so that impaction actually has an important role to play also. When we move our body, we develop electricity called piezoelectricity. This piezoelectricity allows us to maintain the expanded position more efficiently without always having to derive our own internal energy through mitochondrial function and ATP production. So we want our body's expansion mechanism to be effortless if possible, and that's why it's so crucial to develop with good posture and good movement, so that we can maintain that flexibility. Because like me and a lot of kids, when I developed is this forward head posture. This is a collapsed posture, and I've had to work with it my whole life to be able to bring my chest up and my head back and maintain that effortlessly over time. And you can remodel it, but once you grow up as a teenager and remodel because you've been on cell phones all the time, it's very hard to do that unless you're doing a lot of weight training, a lot of exercising, which is important, obviously. Yoga, weight training, anything that expands you up and out is really, really healthy, because it helps you develop that piezoelectricity. Movement lessens adhesions. Think about this: when you're sick, you just don't have the energy and you collapse inward. So what is a person that has collapsed posture? This is a non-powerful posture. We know they're sick, and as a person ages, it changes your gait from this nice counter-rotation position like this to a waddling gait like this, because their body is so sclerotic that it can't actually do this nice counter-rotation stretch. So when I work with patients, everything is geared towards expanding you upward and counter rotation. And when you think about when you go to the chiropractor, if you get a traditional chiropractic manipulation, they pop your pelvis one way, they thoracic expand you this way by manipulating your back this way, and then they rotate your neck both ways, and that's essentially bringing you into this expansion posture. I just take it and slow it down and work all the fascia through the body, wherever it is, because the fascia, the connective tissue that holds everything together, creates this tensegrity model of stability. And if you take one area out of the equation in the fascia, it can affect the whole system. In fact, it is a part of your immune system, it's part of your neural network, it's part of feeding your brain information, because your brain is an information suck that wants as much information as possible. So when you take something out of the equation, it basically is like cutting off some of its blood supply, it's cutting off some of its nervous supply, and that creates a whole system of dysregulation. So if you have an injury someplace, it can actually affect the whole body, and that's very well known. It changes your gait, and I've seen it many times with myself and with patients. When you sprain an ankle, it can cause a shoulder problem, it can create headaches, it can create all sorts of immune dysregulation. So in my technique, we try to work you up into expansion and counter rotation, and then supply exercises and self-mobilization that do that so that you can maintain that expansion, and then also work your immune system so that your immune system isn't causing excess inflammation, sleep, exposure to sunlight, all the biohacks that help you become a better, more effective battery and maintain charge, because we always want to maintain that charge so that we can generate our own electrical systems and maintain our energetics effortlessly instead of always have to consume food, which is a less efficient way. You still have to consume food, but you generate other types of energy through movement and posture and all the different types of activities that you do through your daily life. So we're going to expound on expansion technique. I'm going to show you my technique broken down so that you can learn not only the science behind it, but the actual mechanics that I use to do this. So thank you very much for watching. This is a longer mobility minute, but hopefully it helps explain expansion technique that I'm developing. Thank you.